we're talking about petty crimes, but we're also worried about violent crime.
Even with violent crime, I should. At the end of the day, I shouldn't feel like I can't trust who I'm paying.
Mm-hmm.
It's like owning a company. You want everybody, and that's crazy because I was just thinking about this earlier. If I'm owning a company and I can't trust someone that I'm paying to work for me, and I have to fire them, and now I have to worry about everybody I hire. I have to keep firing and hiring. But they're not doing that. They're not doing that over here. We're just, this is what it is. Do you think I'm gonna trust that person? Do you think I'm really gonna trust that person? Why would I want to get help from someone who is not de-escalating the situation? Why would I want to get help from someone who is mocking me? Why would I want to get help from someone who is not helping me? If I call you to cut my grass and you don't cut my grass, I'm not paying you. If I call you to wash my car and you don't wash my car, I'm not paying you. Mm-hmm. So these officers are being paid to assist me.
Mm-hmm.
If he cannot assist me, he does not deserve to wear the uniform. I don't care what oath he took. I don't care what hand he put his hand on a Bible or whatever. I do not care. I don't care how they do it. They need to fix the situation because I don't care what the conspiracies are either. I don't, because me personally, I'm gonna just keep it straight up. I don't trust officers. Like I said, I have friends who are officers. Do I trust officers? No. Why? Because I've been pulled over. Did I break the law when I got pulled over? No.
Yeah. So
what's funny is I'm walking down the street holding a saxophone, going to church, wearing a suit.
But that's the thing is, so we don't know what just came over, and I've said this a couple times. I think this is a point Sam Harris has made on his podcast, was that we don't know what the officer is looking for. We don't know what just came through the radio, and a saxophone is not something you see every day. You have no idea what's in that case.
I don't know. I don't know.
I've had people come up to me like, "What do you got in there?" They just like, I'll carry it around. I used to carry my saxophone around UCR at NBC.
I hear you. Well, I don't know, man. I'm walking down the street.
Yeah.
In a full blown suit. Holding a Bible in my other hand.
Yeah, well, that's the thing though. I got you, but like we tend to go off of anecdotal information. But to me, this is like, Sam Harris asked the question. Well, what does a bad guy look like? Do we want people to be judged? Is that the metric that we really want to focus on? How do they look?
I've met with the case.
I have some really smart friends who are officers. I do trust them. I think they're some of the nicest and greatest people. I think that the problem, and I think they would agree too, a lot of the problem stems from just training. I don't think that there are these people who are bad. They're untrained cops in some cases, or poorly trained cops. I don't remember the name of a podcast, but it was recommended by a friend of mine named Mark. I won't put his last name. I don't know if he wants the credit, but
don't put his name there,
well, I can edit it out. But he had recommended some podcasts, and one of them talked about Fort Lauderdale's police unit, or some city in Florida if it wasn't Fort Lauderdale, and they've essentially achieved equity. But they've gone through immense amount of training, and they specifically focused on the key point you mentioned earlier, was just taking that extra half second to see if it's a wallet, a cell phone, a gun, or a vape. A vape.
My thing is it doesn't. So what was the saying that they used to say for officers? It takes half a second. It's a split second between the difference between a situation being de-escalated or a situation being disastrous is a split second, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were speaking about LAPD. This is when I was younger. And so my thing is this. It's not even just with police, man. It's if we start arguing right now about random stupid things,
mm-hmm.
all it takes is a split second for one of us to go, is this really worth it? No. I value my camaraderie with you more than the things that we're talking about. The things that we're talking about will not last forever because we both hold the capacity to change our mind.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that's actually one of the reasons Brandon here is on the podcast as opposed to other people, because if I'm wrong, and I got a statistic wrong, I said a couple statistics, so I'm sure they're going to be off. I'm sure I'm doing some injustice here, just sort of.
I don't know, man. You're pretty good with them. You're pretty good with them usually.
If there's something that's drastically wrong, we're willing to discuss them, and both of us are having the conversation because we care about this issue, or some of the world's issues in general, and we want to solve the problem. It's not necessarily about ego and who's right.
Screw ego.
Yeah.
Screw it. It's not going to solve anything. It's literally going to keep us behind. Ego is literally, to me. Let me say to me. I don't know how a lot of you people feel about your ego. Some of you might think you don't have one, and guess what? That's your ego talking that you don't have one. Because I used to do that. I used to say that. I don't got an ego. Your ego is talking. Your ego, literally, it's not worth having. I mean, you do want to have your own identity. Everybody should have their own identity. I believe that it's cool to listen to your peers. It's you don't have to necessarily follow everything that your peers have to say. There are a lot of times where you're gonna have to make your own choices, and that's where that's sometimes where your ego will flash his head. Ego is the person that says, I can do it all by myself. Like I said, I have an ego. I do my best to do everything by myself. I just got done telling him earlier, I am not really a team player when it comes to doing classwork and all that stuff. I would rather do it myself, because if I fail, then I failed by myself. But classwork with a team, that means if I fail, and now fingers get pointed. Fingers start getting pointed. I do not like the whole finger pointing. Finger pointing is the most annoying thing in the world to me. That's also a part of ego too. Like I don't want to deal with that. So I would rather just do my own work, and then whatever grade I get is my grade. If somebody gets a failing grade on their work, I didn't have anything to do with that. Now, if that person asked for some information regarding something in the class and I gave them the wrong information, then that's my fault. If I don't own up to it, that's ego again. But like I said, it's ego. Ego is a waste of time for the most part. Yeah, have your own identity. Be you. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do what only you can do on this earth. You have a mark to make on this earth, make that mark. But at the same time, let me not say but, period. Do you make your mark, period. At the same time though, screw your ego. You're not always right. Mind you, I have to tell myself this while I'm telling you guys this, you feel me? You're not always right. You're not always wrong. Study. Research. Shut up and let other people talk. Listen to listen. Do not listen to respond. Then respond in kind. Don't bring up random things into a conversation that's about this one thing. Well, the Dodgers with... Bro, we're talking about basketball.
yeah. Okay, yeah, I get those off-topic responses too. I like what you said. So listen to hear, listen to learn.
Don't listen to respond. That's a part of ego.
And then you said something, respond in kind.
Yeah, respond in kind. If you're subject matter. Right now we're talking about a couple things. We're still technically on the same page though. We're talking about Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. We're talking about police corruption versus police rightality. And I just made that up. Police doing their jobs.
And training.
That also goes with training and everything. Respond in kind. If you're having a conversation like this, well, police brutality makes up blah, 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 numbers of blah, blah, blah. Well, I heard about a police department in such and such city that is doing this, and actually their numbers not on a national scale, because it's just this city. They're doing this and this and this and this and that, and it's improved their relations with the community. And then all of a sudden, somebody walks over like, "Yo, man, did you hear about them new Nikes that just came?" Bro, hold on, chill. Let's finish talking about this. If you don't understand what we're talking about, that's cool. Just listen to learn. But don't just jump in there talking about the new retro Air Maxes that just came out 2 weeks ago. Bro, we're not talking about that. We'll talk about it after, because we love some Nikes. Yeah. But let's talk about the subject matters at our hand. But just listen to learn. I do not know everything. When he hits me with a statistic, do you know what I do? I take my happy tail home. Or if I have a phone,
fact check me.
And you're gonna fact check me. Dude, I fact check
everything. If I'm way off, you should call me on that so that I say, "Oh man, I was way."
I think I did a couple times in a winter session.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm way off on something, let me know. Because I'm not a computer. I'm gonna mess up sometimes. I'm gonna cross statistics around all the time. What I like, so I actually interpreted your respond in kind a little differently. So I often use the term steelman. So you also want to give the kindest interpretation. I think it's certainly possible that people are human beings. They misspeak. Everybody sort of attributes, not everybody, and certainly not you actually. So this is a generalization, but a lot of times people will attribute the worst possible interpretation to somebody who they believe is in a different camp or a different group. So it becomes a Democrat versus a Republican thing, or black versus Hispanic, or black versus white, or
that's just misunderstanding.
Cop versus or civilian, or right. We have to away from identity politics. We have to be able to look at the numbers, look at the statistics, admit when we're wrong, and attribute the best interpretation of what they're saying. Because imagining that if we both had my ideal world probably matches perfectly your ideal world, a world in which there were zero police shootings, wherever obviously that's not, we live in a real world where that's not going to be the case, but we want to reduce the number as far as we possibly can. I think the city I was, I'll have to rewatch the podcast, and I'll link to it because I'm referencing it a couple times, but they've drastically reduced. It was something like 4 police shootings, which is incredibly low. I don't know if it's 4 per 100,000.
Is my thing is this: any number lower than the numbers that are set right now are better numbers than before.
Yeah, improvement.
I completely look. Let me put it like this. The officers that I do know, I respect. Not because they're officers, but because I know what kind of men they are. So just like I said, with that cop that shot that boy in the stomach twice, I respect him. Not because he was angry he shot him, but he was angry that he shot him. He genuinely cared about that man's life to the point of where he got pissed off at himself. That's called caring for your fellow man. Caring for your fellow man. That's the point about being a peace officer. To protect and serve. He knew that he did not protect that man. He did not serve his duty. He did not serve his due diligence as somebody who was getting paid by that man. I don't care if it's 1 penny that came out of that man's check that paid for that officer's check. That officer knew that he messed up. And he became sorrowful. That's my thing. That's my thing. If we literally had more cops, more officers of the law, who respected their badge that much, to where when they made a mistake, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. I don't believe in mistakes. I believe in bad choices. Okay, and bad choices are the way that they're choosing to train these cops. These are bad choices that they're giving to these officers. But that cop made a mistake. He mistakenly thought that was a weapon. And by the way that the man got out the car, he took that as aggression. I understand that. Late at night, truck, another truck. All of a sudden, you're pulling up to the scene and you see somebody hop out and you didn't tell them to get out. Yeah. Of course, you're going to have your hand on your lethal weapon. And I'm not talking about Mel Gibson or Danny Glover. That's my thing. That was a mistake. So that man did not die. He did not become a statistic. I if numbers can improve as far as less police shootings, then there are some requirements that need to be had.